16-minute Bao is back with a fucking fiery take.
This episode is brought to you by One Day U. Get access to hundreds of fascinating classes from the country's top professors when you sign up for One Day U at the link below.
A dire warning and a stark reality.
The UN calls it code red for humanity.
It is unequivocal that human activities are responsible for climate change.
And that is according to a devastating report by the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which warns that many human-caused effects are now irreversible.
The extremes we're now experiencing, fires, floods, droughts, and storms, will only intensify.
Experts agree that without big reductions in global carbon dioxide emissions, the world cannot win the fight against climate change.
In early August 2021, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, released their latest findings in what can only be considered the most dire warning yet for the worsening climate crisis. We've known for decades that human activity is dramatically affecting the planet's temperature. There is no longer any debate on this front. Anyone who says otherwise is not engaging in good faith or is actively trying to muddy the waters. In this episode, we're going to take a look at this latest report and try to come to grips with just how serious the situation is. If you're watching this, I'm going to assume you acknowledge the accuracy of decades of established science, but I won't talk down to you if you think otherwise. I will do my best to explain the data, but please understand my goal is not to debunk anything. You can go elsewhere for that kind of coverage. It is long past time that we all get on the same page about the challenges we face and the steps we need to take to mitigate the fallout. With that out of the way, let's start with some basic information. Based on years of research by scientists from every corner of the Earth, the planet is experiencing higher than normal temperatures, largely influenced by human activity. Specifically, the burning of fossil fuels and the accumulation of high levels of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. These increased temperatures will cause a destructive feedback loop. Higher temperatures will melt more ice, which will release more greenhouse gases, which will further increase the temperature, and so on. As global average temperature...
Look at that. People are Googling LASD gangs. I mean, that makes sense, though, over the past, like... In Canada? Oh, what the fuck? Why are you looking at Canada, dude? What is this? Oh my fucking god, dude. Bro, are you serious? Are you serious? Biologist at Tucker, if ivermectin proven effective against COVID, it moots vaccine push. A lot of Mississippians are trying to treat COVID with cow deworming meds. The Department of Health says at least 70% of recent calls to poison control have been related to the ingestion of livestock or animal formulations of ivermectin purchased at livestock supply centers. You can't save these dudes from themselves, bro. They just want to... Bro, it's crazy. It's like, why? Why is it? Why are people who think that, like, there is some kind of fucking problem with the FDA or this vaccine so quick to trust random dumbasses who are like, just kidding. It's horse dewormer. Like, it's always, there's always someone that's shilling something else. We're the dumbest fucking country, man. We are literally the dumbest fucking country. So dumb we forget the top of the hour ad break sometimes. But not here. Because at the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. And unlike the ivermectin, there is a foolproof method to avoid seeing those ads. That foolproof method is called subscribing. You can either do it for $5, or if you don't have that, you can do it for free with a Twitch Prime. Okay? Or you can use an ad block, or you can use a VPN. Twitch Prime is free. Here's the 1-minute ad now. Thank you, Archie Rowe. What? Dude, are these guys...
But if I was...
Dude, these guys are so insane. Oh, my God.
I don't want to be in charge, but if I was, I want to get the Americans, cool. Give me 9 guys. I'm going to walk through the streets, and I'm going to kill everyone I see, and I'm going to grab the Americans. It is not difficult. But we have these people who are in charge that are a disgrace. I'm amazed.
They're teaching CRT at the military, and that's why they won't let me do genocide. First of all, I'm sorry to say this, okay? And this is going to offend some of you. You would get your fucking shit pushed in, dog. 9 guys? Really? You're going to take on the fucking Taliban with 9 guys? Guess what? We tried to do that with 100,000 guys, and it fucking didn't work. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you going to do, bro? I love when fucking JSOC dipshits turn around. I don't even know if this guy's a fucking Navy SEAL or not. But I love when fucking dumbass Navy SEAls be like, yeah, just give me 9 guys. They'll fucking, extract all the 150 Americans that are still there, brother. It's like, no, dude. You know what you will do? You'll drop a fucking helicopter on the way to the Pakistani fucking West Point to go kill Osama bin Laden in his fucking sleep at his compound where not a single person fires back. I think there's 1 person that fired back. Sorry. That's what you'll do. Okay? You'll drop a fucking Black Hawk in the process, too. That's what you'll do. Oh, wait. This is the guy that follows me. Is that him?
That there hasn't been at least 30 generals.
Is this the Nelk Boys guy? He follows me, doesn't he? Okay, in light of recent developments, I don't feel as secure about my situation, so I'm going to go ahead and take back everything I said. That's fucking the guy who killed, or not killed, the real guy who killed Osama bin Laden. The real guy who killed Osama bin Laden is not him. The real guy who killed Osama bin Laden is still in operation. This is the guy who lied about killing Osama bin Laden when he just walked up, left his fucking post. Okay, he was supposed to be sweeping the 2nd floor, left his post only to run upstairs, horny as fuck, to just canoe Osama bin Laden by shooting him in the fucking head and making it impossible to ID him. So, yeah, no, he didn't actually kill Osama. Time to move again? Yeah, I know, dude.
Generals and admirals that haven't resigned or been fired today. But we won't, because we have a commander-in-chief that was put there through whatever happened at 4.
Dude, the commander-in-chief sent you to go fucking, kill Osama so you could write a fucking book and make money and then have all of your earnings go back to the fucking Navy, actually, because you lied about it and you revealed a bunch of shit, and there was a conflict of interest because you were literally selling your everyday load in the book that you were shilling out. Like, that very same fucking commander-in-chief was Obabe. Like, what do you mean? You should be a little bit more thankful to the imperialist Democrats.
4 in the morning on election night. This is not...
He's gonna drop a Black Hawk chopper on your $2.5 million mansion. You always backtrack on your positions and move the goalposts? Oh, absolutely. Especially when I'm facing a dude who's, like, clearly not all there. This guy straight up said, the other day, he straight up said, we would like totally fucking, me and a couple guys like me, we could take over America like the Taliban. Navy SEALs only do this when they're very hungry and lonely. They will try to form a small military unit so they can strangle army guys to death and then take their watches. I implore Robert J. O'Neill's owners to feed him and possibly get another SEAL for him to live with. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. I mean, his name is Mick Huya. That's all you need to know about that, to be honest. Here's a video of him getting a truck and lying to a shamed rapper, buying the guy who killed Osama bin Laden's truck.
Warning, Steve is...
Wait, hold on. What is this, Nelk Boy?
It doesn't hit as hard the second time. No, this is the intro to my video. Say thank you guys. No. Thank you guys so much for the support. Stop it!
This dude is like one of the worst formations, okay? This fucking blob. He's like new Vitaly, you know what I'm saying? I can't stand him. Anyway, Mick Huya's buying a truck. That's really fucked up, dude. I can't believe he would buy a truck or even sell a truck. We should cancel him, I think. I don't really care about that video. Let's go back to the IPCC climate change.
Temperature rises, we will see an increase in erratic and violent weather conditions, such as hurricanes, droughts, and their byproducts like flooding, wildfires, and the spread of disease. Obviously, these are all harmful to life, both human and non-human, and should be mitigated if at all possible. The general consensus is pretty clear. We are already experiencing and will continue to experience climate-related fallout, and if left unaddressed, it will only get worse as time goes on. Something I've mentioned in a previous episode is that everyone should care about the changing climate, regardless of what we think is causing it. Even if you think humans have nothing to do with it, acting to mitigate the consequences is in everyone's best interest. Think of it like this. If you're out for a walk and someone is driving straight at you, and you're clearly going to be run over, what would you do? You'd do everything in your power to avoid being run over, right? Does it matter whether the driver is purposely trying to kill you or if his brakes were out? No, because the end result is undesirable either way. The things that led up to you having...
What kind of liberal nonsense is this? Huh? No, you just fucking gun it, baby. You fucking kidding me? I mean, dude, like one of the fucking fathers of neoliberal thought unironically argued that like people should be able to drive cars that can fucking kill you. Like as long as they know that the car can kill you and they get to buy the car cheaper than like the average car in the marketplace, you should be able to do it. Like, so no, this is actually this is at the foundation of conservative thought. It's the famous Ford Pinto Milton Friedman take. Here, let's watch that really quick.
Just one more. This has to do with the Ford Pinto. I'm not sure if you're aware of the recent revelations that have come out about the production of that car. Ford produced it knowing full well that in any rear-end collision, the gas tank would blow up because they had failed to install a $13 plastic block in front of the gas tank. And Ford estimated in an internal memo that that would cost about 200 lives a year. And they estimated further that the cost of each life would be $200,000. They multiplied and they found that the cost of installing those blocks in each of the cars would be more than the cost of saving those 200 lives. And over the past 7 years, the car has been produced and over 1,000 lives have been lost. It seems to me that Ford did what would be the right thing according to your policy. And yet that seems to me to be very wrong.
Well, let me ask you, let's suppose it would have cost $1 billion per person. Should Ford have put them in nonetheless? You see, you're really only, you know that you're really only arguing about price. You're not arguing about principle. No. Because you cannot, nobody
fucking own, dude.
Nobody can take the principle. Nobody can accept the principle that an infinite value should be put on an individual life. Because in order to get the money involved, in order to get the...
Dude, he's so good. Oh my God, based. Human life is actually not infinitely valuable, so it's okay when people fucking die for the bottom line of the Ford Corporation because it's cheaper to fucking produce a car that blows up. Based!
Resources involved, it's not money. In order to get the resources, they have to come from somewhere. And you want the policy which maximizes the situation.
Wait, I'm surprised it's not doing the Ben Shapiro of like, what if the cost of human life was $1 gajillion? What if the cost of human life was $1 gorillion? Huh? What then? Got him. You cannot take away the principle.
Overall.
It's an insane take. Dude, if you look at anything you learn in an Econ 101 class, from the framework of empathy and like valuing human life, not as a commodity, but rather as like something that holds intrinsic value, which humans normally do feel that way about other humans. Okay? The entire book is insane. Like every fucking book you read in Econ is just absolutely psychotic. Okay? Zero people do that. Zero people actually look at it because that's not a part of the education. It's like you're supposed to look at it from the framework of like, this is the best system. There's no other way to look at it outside of the system. And also, it's right. And if you ever say that it's wrong, you're fucking wrong. Like you're, you know. The furthest you go is Keynes. And that's it. Is like Keynesian economics. That's the furthest like left you will go.
Cannot accept a situation that 1 million people should starve in order to provide one person with a car that is completely safe.
That's absolutely right.
Right, and therefore you're not arguing anything about principle. You're just arguing whether Ford used $200,000 was the right number or not.
No, I'm not arguing
Suppose
that
it were
at all.
$200 million.
No.
Oh, he did it! Oh my God, he did it! Oh my God, he literally did it. He did the Ben Shabibo meme.
If it were
Oh God.
$200 million, what should Ford have done?
$200 million for what?
Suppose it would have cost $200 million per life saved. Should Ford still have spent that $200 million?
You mean per...
That's not the question.
That's not really the question.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. Then Ford shouldn't make that car, you fucking dingus. What the fuck? Thank God there are government regulations that are put in place in an effort to stop psychopathic vampires like this dipshit from like having any say, except, sorry, obviously Milton Friedman is a well-respected thinker, so there is that.
That is a question.
Yes,
that's the principle of the question. That's the only principle involved. I don't know whether Ford came to the right answer or not. That's a question of whether these numbers are valid numbers for the relative costs of different things. You're not arguing about a...
To be fair, it's not the Ben Shapiro method. He came up with it. No, he didn't come up with like fucking, what is it, like reductio ad absurdum or something? Like he didn't come up with exaggeration, chat, in an argument. He's not the inventor of exaggerating in an effort to, you know, win an argument.
Principle, if you once agree with me, that if it had been $200 million, the cost per life saved would have been $200 million.
He should have just held frame and been like, yes. You know what I mean? Yes.
You would not argue. Look, let me go back for a moment.
Can I say something in response to that? If Ford had not been able to market those cars in the same kind of economic bracket because of the price of installing this one plastic block, that would be a different question. Maybe Ford could have considered redesigning the whole car so as to make it cheaper. But what we're talking about is balancing advantages and balancing principles.
And that's why
Just a minute.
You're only talking
I'm a
about
supporter of abortion. Therefore, I don't believe that every single human life is sacred. I believe that principles have to be balanced. And yet, I don't see Ford spending $13 less on each car at the cost of 200 lives a year as being a principled position to take. And yet, I think your logic requires it.
Suppose it had been one fewer life a year. So that the $13 per car...
Again, not the argument. Oh, okay, if it's just one life a year, even then it's not acceptable. How about that? He should just say it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to knowingly put out a faulty piece of equipment because it's going to impact your bottom line. It's completely unacceptable. And by the way, this argument, for the record, is about government regulation. Like, this argument is about not recalling the Ford Pinto. Okay? Which was killing 200 people a year that owned the car because of a $13 piece of plastic that they just did not put in there.
So that one life, instead of being 200 times, what's 200 times 200,000? It's 40 million. Suppose it had been one life a year, so that it cost 40 million. Would it...
He's like stretching it, dude. Look at that. He keeps stretching the argument. Even if he said yes, then they'd be like, okay, supposedly it's, you know, 2 lives, but then it's $100 million. God, we really fucking hype up the biggest dumbasses. The issue is not that people will pay less for a riskier car, but the issue is that Ford claimed that their car is as safe as others. I find it hilarious that both libertarians and non-libertarians have taken the same clip to glorify and expose Milton Friedman. Why is Friedman so popular? Because I don't even know where to begin, because there's a lot of fucking idiots on the planet, especially in America.
Would it then have been okay for Ford not to have put in that
You can't predict that one life is going to be cost because of a physical defect in the car. This was a clear...
I know, but you're evading the question of principle.
Yeah. Well, we can't have a conversation. We just have to talk about the hypothetical instead of the very real example I gave you and what the necessary steps should be. If you have a principled stance on this, then you should be able to engage in the hypothetical. Oh my God, dude. Every fucking debate lord. This is precisely why I fucking hate debate lords. Okay? Because this person, Shaggy over here, doing a really good job, for the record. Like, doing a very good job holding frame, staying on topic. He's getting a little lost in the sauce because Milton, who is older than him and has probably done this many times over, is able to move the conversation around. But ultimately, like, this debate lord is doing everything that he can in an effort to not, like, actually answer the question.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that they knew before they put the car out that there was a mechanical defect in it.
You know, when you buy a car, you know that your chance of being killed in a Pinto is greater than your chance of being killed in a Mack truck.
No, I didn't. I didn't know that the gas tank would rupture.
Of course it is a question.
Well,
every one of us separately in this room could, at a cost, reduce his risk of dying tomorrow. You don't have to walk across the street. Of course. The question is he willing to pay for it? And the question here he should be raising, if he wants to raise a question of principle, the principle he should raise is whether Ford wasn't required to attach to this car the statement, we have made this car $13 cheaper, and therefore it is whatever the percent is, it is 1% more risky for you to buy it.
But why?
Now then he would be arguing a real question of principle.
Why should they do that? Doesn't that interfere with the free enterprise system that you're touting?
No.
Why not?
Because the consumer should be free to decide what risk he wants to bear.
absolute psychopath. Like, this is the most psychopathic fucking take. Thank God. Thank fucking God there are, like, government regulations around what we have currently. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it were up to psychos like this, we would not have it. He's a Nobel Prize winner. Don't get me fucking started on this, dude. Please. Please don't get me started on fucking how insanely corrupt that entire institution is. He's explaining how Ford would gladly take that risk and pay the consequences. It's not that hard to understand. Yes, and then he's also saying that, like, you should be able to put out a faulty product as long as people that are buying that car know that the product is faulty and there's a higher risk of fucking dying. That's insane, dude. How can you not understand that? That is, like, completely psychotic. That's why there's need for regulation. If that, yeah, chatter just said, yeah, a great point. Yeah, why don't you fucking fly on the Boeing Max 8 or whatever the fuck it's called? Huh? Yeah, airplanes, as long as they correctly tell you that, you know, you do have a 12% chance, higher chance of fucking dying in flight. Fuck it, dude. You know? Don't recall it. And if you fucking die, then hey, you actually knew the problems. You could improve how difficult it is. I mean, you could have greatly improved your chance of not dying by flying in a different plane.
If you want to pay $13 extra for that, you should be free to do it. If you don't want to pay $13,
wait.
Excuse me, we have to keep it to the audio over here.
So then the government does have the right to require information of corporations,
No.
is that right?
No, the government has a right to provide courts of law in which corporations that deliberately conceal material that is relevant can be sued for fraud and made to pay very heavy expenses. And that is a desirable part of...
Yeah, except when corporations have an endless amount of power as a consequence of fucking assholes like this and their libertarian principles, supposedly. Okay? They get to game the system, and also they get to bake in the cost of, like, paying that dumbass fucking fee, ultimately, into not fixing the hardware. It's cheaper. Not totally related since Friedman was Chicago school and not Austrian, but this is probably my favorite econ meme ever. Steal manhole cover, sell the junkyard, buy drugs, wait for replacement, steal manhole cover, sell the junkyard, buy drugs, wait for replacement. I don't understand it. Like, I thought it would maybe, like, talk about how it's a poor person joke that you are too rich to understand. Why do American liberations like tyranny of private enterprise? You mean libertarians, not liberations. Only people without houses understand this meme. Yo, dude, this guy changed, bro. This guy literally fucking changed. He has a house now. He's so different. He's acting kind of different right now, bro. Doesn't even get this fucking Austrian economics meme, bro. What the fuck? Yo. What's up, dude? Yo, you fucking changed, bro. You fucking changed up. You fucking changed up. That's fucked up, dude. Hi, I'm late. I was at the beach. Can I get a recap? What did I miss today? Oh, nothing, dude. Don't worry. Absolutely nothing noteworthy happened in this community or this stream at all today. We're just memeing, you know? $8.20 is just a fucking cursed ass. It's a cursed ass fucking time for me, okay? Always.
Part of the market.
All right, let's finish this.
Of course. What I'm trying to say to you is that these things are really a little bit more subtle and sophisticated.
Wait, what the fuck? California Superior Court judge finds Prop 22 unconstitutional? Oh my god. That's crazy. What the fuck? Yo, we got those goddamn activist judges called California, brother. Holy shit, that's massive. I mean, it's still going to get appealed. Thanks to this dipshit in the Chicago boys, my fucking country has to now change its constitution. Your average Chilean. Oh, true. I'm sorry about that. What do you mean, dude? Neoliberalism has been such a fucking wonderful thing for Chile. A Ghoul's Night Out. Thank you for the 5. Get the subs. It's so obvious to me that Americans perceive the word capitalism and socialism differently from Europe. Dude, Americans perceive a lot of things differently from the rest of the world, dude. They're incredibly dumb fucking hogs. Entire police force shut down because they all have COVID. Shut the fuck up. Damn, dude. Based COVID. COVID said ACAB. Every police officer in the Venice Police Department in Southern Illinois has tested positive for COVID-19. Is this real? What the fuck? How did you find this story? It's got one retweet from like Venice. Bro, I feel you. Iraq has been making its constitution since 2001. Yeah, it's like Venice. What is it in fucking...
You are at first led to believe there are no, you can't get easy answers along this line, because your way of putting it really doesn't really get at the fundamental principles involved. The real fundamental principle is that people individually should be free to decide how much they're willing to pay for reducing the chances of their death. Now, people mostly aren't willing to pay very much. I personally regard this as very, very illogical.
What? Dude. Just make people more logical with their purchase decisions so that they don't die is so fucking stupid when people are illogical, okay? God, I fucking hate econ people. Oh my god. They're so fucking dumb. They're so fucking incredibly dumb, dude. Why?
I have just one more. This has to do.
You don't get away with it anymore? This person says, never mind, Hasan's stream is boring. Okay, dude, you're fucking insane. Like, that's a person with like 3 followers. with 1 like. I don't even know how you found that. It's yours. You did that. You tweeted that yourself.
Having to avoid a car shouldn't factor into your consideration of how to respond. The same is true of climate fallout. Regardless of whether you think climate change is entirely normal or dramatically worsened by human activity, the end result is apparent. We're seeing massive increases in violent weather, more frequent hurricanes, unseasonably hot weather, droughts, wildfires, floods, extended summers which allow the proliferation of disease-carrying insects, the death of crops as the region's climate begins to change. All of these things demand solutions, whether we humans are to blame or not. Why allow ourselves to be hit by a car if we can take steps to avoid it? There's no such thing as a partisan thermometer, and the fact that the Earth is warming is just that, a fact. We can squabble over causes, though we really shouldn't when 97% of climate scientists agree that the current predicament is caused overwhelmingly by human activity, or we can get to work on finding solutions to adapt to our changing climate. Okay, now that we've covered some of the basics, let's move on to the specifics of the new report. Before we look at the data, please keep in mind that while the situation is incredibly serious, we still have a small amount of time to act and stave off some of the worst effects of climate change. Becoming a doomer isn't going to solve anything. Take a sober look at the facts, then get involved to help. We'll talk a bit more about that later. Now, the report states unequivocally that the climate today is warmer than at any point in modern human history. The authors make it very clear that this rapid change is not natural, which should be obvious when looking at charts like these. That spike coincides exactly with the increase in greenhouse gas emissions by human activity. But just to be thorough, the report also includes their data which tracks the natural fluctuations in temperature. As you can see, the variation due to natural causes, for example the massive Krakatoa eruption, yields a barely noticeable 0.05 degrees Celsius bump at the most, compared to human activity, the effects of which have been compounding since the Industrial Revolution and have yielded at least 1.2 degrees of warming. That may not sound too alarming. After all, what's the difference between, say, 70 and 72 degree days? It's important to keep in mind that weather is not the same thing as climate. If today it's 70 degrees outside and tomorrow is 71, that's barely noticeable. But if the average temperature of the entire planet is 1.2 degrees above normal, we're getting into very dangerous territory. The IPCC has urged world leaders to get their act together and try to keep climate warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Any higher than that, and we're looking at apocalypse-level extinction events, extreme weather unlike anything we've ever seen, and entire regions becoming uninhabitable. To better understand these numbers, I recommend a previous IPCC report titled Global Warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius, which helps put in perspective the specific changes we can expect should we exceed that threshold. Now, the bad news is that we're likely too late to stop the runaway warming effect from exceeding 1.5 degrees. According to this latest report, if we stopped burning fossil fuels today, the increase would continue for another 20 to 30 years. The IPCC does offer two possible paths which could keep us below 2 degrees of warming. One hypothetical would require the world to cut its emissions in half by 2050 and become carbon neutral by 2075. Unlikely, but possible. The other, the only path that could possibly allow us to remain below 1.5 degrees of warming, would require us to get to net zero by 2050. In my opinion, that is simply not going to happen. The authors of the report share a similar sentiment, and they state that we're not on track for either of these least bad futures. They go so far as to say that capping warming at 2 degrees Celsius will be beyond reach without immediate, massive, and widespread reductions in emissions. Okay, we all understand that the higher the number, the worse the effects. But how bad are we talking, really? Is it just going to be warmer in the summer, or what? The crucial thing to understand about the warming process is that there are certain thresholds which represent what are called tipping points, after which there will be set in motion a disastrous chain of events which cannot be undone. One such tipping point would be the continued destruction of the Amazon rainforest. We've already lost 1/5 of the Amazon through climate change and human-caused deforestation. Scientists warn that losing another 1/5 will trigger a dieback loop, a point at which the forest would be beyond saving. As one of the world's largest carbon sinks, losing the Amazon would not only mean losing that carbon sink, it would also produce even more greenhouse gases as the forest dies. It's a similar story in the Arctic. The permafrost contains huge amounts of carbon and methane. As the climate warms, the permafrost melts, and these gases are released into the atmosphere. These potent warming agents trap more heat, which accelerates the melting, which releases more gases, and on in a rapidly accelerating feedback loop. Hopefully, these examples make it more clear that it's not necessarily the 1.5 or 2 degrees of warming that's the problem, but rather the events that will be triggered if warming exceeds those levels. And it's not just increased temperature. The report makes it clear that hotter temperatures aren't the only consequence of a warming climate. We'll also see an increase in the frequency and severity of wildfires, droughts, flooding, ocean acidification, and extreme weather. In the past year alone, we've seen—
I don't think this video turns into, here's how you can get some hopium and not to be a doomer. I don't know if this changes, dude.
Truly apocalyptic scenes in countries around the world. In just the last few weeks, there's been massive flooding in Europe, China, and India. Toxic plumes of smoke covered Siberia, and wildfires have ripped through the US, Canada, Greece, and Turkey. We're already living in climate fallout, and these events will only become more frequent and more extreme as long as we fail to do something about it. The bottom line is that we must act. We must. Right now. Normal people around the world understand this. The poor, those who have contributed the least to emissions, are being disproportionately affected by the fallout. The roadblock is world leadership. In the United States, for example, the Biden administration has just requested an increase in oil drilling, despite the president paying lip service to establish science and asserting that we need to act. We do need to act, but that action will not come from the top. The system under which so many of us are forced to operate is dependent on the exploitation of both the working people and the planet. The fossil fuel industry is incredibly lucrative. The driving force behind capitalism is the profit motive, the pursuit of ever greater profits and ever lower expenses. This suicidal ideology will destroy our species, and countless other species which have played no part in the destruction of their homes. As long as the rich and powerful are allowed to continue writing the rules, nothing will change. The status quo suits them just fine. Those with means will not suffer the consequences of the changing climate. They'll simply move somewhere else and leave the rest of us to fend for ourselves. A system that is built on extraction, exploitation, and the accumulation of wealth in the hands of a tiny minority will never put the good of the species ahead of their profits. That would cause the capitalist machine to falter. Instead, the machine will continue to be greased with the blood of the innocent and powerless. The IPCC report is clear. Act now, or suffer irreversible damage to the only planet we have. This is it. This is our one home. Billionaire supervillains will never terraform Mars to even a fraction of the livability of Earth. If we blow this chance to ensure the continued survival of our species, it will be our own fault, and we will have wasted a precious chance to allow life to flourish in an otherwise barren solar system. So, what can we do about this? There's been a big push to get people to adopt paper straws, to go electric, to carpool, things like that. While that certainly does—
Elon Musk will save us, dude. He doesn't understand. And paper straws, too. You know what else will actually save us, though? And I don't know why he's not talking about this. If we yell at, like, a leftist guy for buying a house, I think that's probably the best kind of activism that you can do. So, obviously, you should just keep doing that instead.
Doesn't hurt, the whole personal responsibility argument was actually fabricated by the oil and gas industry to get people to forget who the real culprits are. And it's worked. So, in case you don't know, just 100 companies produce 71% of the world's carbon emissions. Decommissioning just the largest 6 cruise ships, not cruise lines, 6 individual ships, would be the equivalent of taking every car in Europe off the road. The US military produces more greenhouse gas emissions than entire countries.
Okay, well, guess what? Everybody said girl boss Elizabeth Warren was wrong when she wanted to do green military, and now you're gonna tell me that a cruiser and their fucking carbon footprint is bad? I mean, of course, we shouldn't stop the wars, don't get me wrong. Obviously, like, there's resources ripe for extraction overseas, you know? There's a population that we could functionally enslave. Like, don't be ridiculous. But what we should be doing is, you know, decarbonizing our military and our imperial endeavors. So, which is what Elizabeth Warren wanted to do. And you fucking sexists that hate Native Americans literally said no because you wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders because you were sexist, and that's really fucked up.
The individual carbon footprint is insignificant compared to the capitalist machine. You could live 1,000 lifetimes and never come close to the environmental impact of a single cruise ship. That being said, the carbon footprint of someone living in the imperial core, countries referred to as the West, is dramatically higher than someone living in a developing country. We need to acknowledge the responsibility of those living a privileged lifestyle in the US and other industrialized nations.
Dude, this is such a disingenuous take. Those aircraft carriers run on nuclear power. Everybody knows famously that an aircraft carrier that's basically the size of a town exclusively runs on nuclear power and therefore no waste whatsoever. Like, I mean, totally, dude. It's literally like a walking town. It's a swimming city. Okay, not even a town. It's like a swimming city with a fuckload of jets on it and shit, and so many other, just so many other fucking wastes, but zero waste because it's nuclear energy. So thanks.
To lead the fight against the very system that enables their comfortable life. If the fossil fuel industry is not dismantled, and taking a wider view, if capitalism is allowed to survive, we will not. Our options are to either leave capitalism behind and adopt a more egalitarian, ecologically sound system.
Gets a mansion and wants to ignore homeowner carbon footprint responsibly. I actually saw this take by some of the fucking weirdos, dude, where it was like, I can't believe you're, you know, ignoring homeowner carbon footprint. Hey, dumbass, you recognize that you're saying like abolish housing, right? Because like currently do have like I'm in a home. Like you're basically saying abolish housing for Hasan only, so that you know, so that we can save the world. I made a joke about that. And yet you still were like, yeah, that's not enough. I think I'm going to actually unironically say that this as a political position. My entire political posturing revolves around who I dislike, or worse, who my Twitch streamer dislikes. I have no other ideological convictions or no other moral convictions beyond this. So, of course, you know, I am going to change everything to fit a way that like shits on this one specific streamer.
System or die. That's it. In my opinion, that's a pretty easy choice. Now, how do we actually enforce that choice? We know those in power don't listen to voters. So how do we get them to actually do their jobs and enact the will of the people? First, we need to recognize the power that average people have over the economy. The capitalists run a very lean operation, which means any delay will cause a tremendous loss of profits. Remember when the ship got stuck in the Suez Canal? That blockage cost $400 million per hour, nearly $10 billion per day. Workers in the shipping, trucking, and railroad industries could grind the economy to a halt themselves. A general strike, that is, a countrywide labor action where workers from all industries refuse to work until demands are met, has historically proven an effective tool for change. Then there have been more forceful means of blocking oil and gas projects, such as the indigenous-led blockades of the Line 3 pipeline. Protesting outside the homes of useless politicians won't win them over, but at least it will make them suffer a bit. These people should not know a moment's peace until they fix the problems that they have enabled for decades. If you're not comfortable going out and protesting or striking, you can still help by supporting those who are. Donate to mutual aid funds, deliver food to those on strike, don't cross the picket lines, help educate other people about the severity of the problem. Every little bit of resistance helps. Climate change affects all of us. It doesn't care who we are or what we believe. If we want to ensure a livable future for our children and grandchildren, we need to solve this problem ourselves. There are so many more of us than those who refuse to act on our behalf. It doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to just wait for climate change to destroy us. There are concrete steps we can take to rewrite our future. But we need to start today. I spend a lot of time making these videos, and as you can probably imagine, it can.
Did you react to the quartering hit pieces yet? No, dude. Why would I do that? When the fuck have I ever reacted to a fucking quarter pounder hit piece, dude? I was banning a fuckload of you guys for even bringing that up. Like, are you kidding me, dude? Listen, when you fucking piss in your basement, it's over. Like, you are not a serious person. You're an unserious person. I will never take you seriously. You can fucking talk all you want. You can fucking, you know, draw as much clout goblin points as you possibly can out of me. I will not react to anything you do. Yes, this is Second Thought. For those of you who don't know, one of my favorite channels on YouTube. They're fucking awesome. Friend of the show. You know, once again, another horrible content creator who I steal from, who just fucking hates when I watch his YouTube videos. Just fucking hates it. You know, because that's what I do around these parts. House tour in the future. Why did you buy a house when the world is ending soon anyways? House tour in the future, Pepela? Fuck no, dude. Dude, that's a lot more likes than I usually see. Second thought start to take off. IPCC report is because Hasan bought a house. This is also true. All of this is true. Crowd uploaded a new video. Man, I don't give a fuck. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Take a 7-day vacation from chatting. I'm a little excited that it, you know, my situation did not get